In 1979, Pope John Paul II declared Saint Francis of Assisi the patron saint of ecology, honoring his deep love for creation and all living things. Welcome to Echoes of the Saints. Today, we explore the life of Saint Francis of Assisi, a saint whose humility, love for creation, and devotion to God changed the world. Let's journey through his story together. A privileged, restless youth. Francis was born Giovanni di Pietro di Bernardone in Assisi around 1181 to 1182 to a prosperous cloth merchant. His father nicknamed him Francesco out of pride for French trade and culture. As a youth, he wore fine clothes, loved music and feasts, and moved easily among Assisi's young nobles. Handsome, witty, generous, and a leader among his peers. Yet generosity toward beggars and a recurring unease nagged at him. Beneath the laughter and parties, something quieter and deeper seeded itself, a longing that wealth could not satisfy. Crushed dreams, war, captivity, and inner turning, 1202 to 1206. When Francis reached his 20s, the fire of ambition still burned brightly in his heart. Eager for glory, he joined the war between Assisi and Perugia, dreaming of knighthood and fame. Yet destiny had other plans. His shining armor soon became a prison's shadow. He was captured, locked in a cold cell, and left to suffer a year of sickness and despair. But within that darkness, something mysterious began to stir. His body weakened, yet his spirit deepened. When at last he was freed, he tried once more to chase the dream of honor. But on the road to battle, a voice from heaven broke through his thoughts. "Francis, who can reward you more, the servant or the master?" Startled and trembling, he turned his horse around and rode home to Assisi. From that moment, the world he once desired began to fade. A new light, silent but powerful, started to rise within him. The Call of the Cross, 1206 to 1208. One day, while Francis was kneeling and praying in despair before a crucifix inside the ruined chapel of San Damiano, he heard a gentle but commanding voice speak from the cross. "Francis, go and rebuild my church, which, as you see, is falling into ruin." At first, he thought the Lord meant the stones and walls before him. Filled with zeal, he sold some of his father's fine cloth to buy materials and began repairing the chapel with his own hands. The Great Renunciation and Embrace of Poverty, 1208 to 1209. When his father learned that Francis had sold his costly cloth to rebuild the chapel, he was furious and dragged him before the Bishop of Assisi, demanding repayment. Before the gathered townspeople, Francis quietly returned the money, then removed even his garments and laid them at his father's feet. "Standing there in nothing but the light of heaven," he declared, "from now on, I have no father but our Father in heaven." The bishop, deeply moved, placed his own mantle around the young man's shoulders, a sign that the church itself would now be his shelter and his family. From that day forward, Francis wore only a simple rough tunic, walked barefoot, and lived among the poor and lepers, filled with joy that no one could take away. The Brothers of the Poor, 1209 to 12012. Word of Francis's radiant joy and simplicity began to spread throughout Assisi. Soon, others who longed for a life of purity and peace joined him. Men of different backgrounds, drawn by the same fire of love. They called themselves the Brothers of the Poor. They wandered through the Umbrian countryside, singing hymns, preaching repentance, and working with their hands for food. Francis carried no gold, no staff, not even sandals, only the gospel of Christ written on his heart. In 1209, he went to Rome to seek the Pope's blessing for their way of life. Pope Innocent III, at first doubtful of this ragged band, had a dream that very night, a poor man holding up the collapsing church of St. John Lateran with his bare shoulders. The next day, he recognized the man's face. It was Francis. With tears, he approved their humble rule, and thus was born the Franciscan order. Sister Clare and the Light of Poverty, 1212 to 1215. Among those touched by Francis's example was a noble young woman named Clare. She heard him preach in the church of San Giorgio and felt her heart burn with divine love. On Palm Sunday of 1212, she secretly left her home at night and came to the chapel of the Porziuncola, where Francis and his brothers awaited her with candles. There, she laid aside her jewels and rich garments, cut her hair, and received the coarse habit of poverty. Francis placed her in the care of the Benedictine nuns for safety, and soon other women joined her. Thus began the Order of Poor Ladies, later called the Poor Clares, sisters who would live in silence, prayer, and joyful simplicity. The Preacher of Peace, 1215 to 1219. As the years passed, Francis's message spread like fire across Italy. One day, while walking through the valley of Spoleto, he turned to his companions and said, "Let us go and preach peace to the world, for God has sent us for this purpose." They went 2 by 2, barefoot and singing psalms, entering towns and villages where war, greed, and pride had darkened hearts. Francis preached not with grand words, but with the quiet radiance of his life. People saw his gentleness and wept. Even the hardest soldiers laid down their weapons and listened. In those days, Francis would often bless the people, saying, "May the Lord give you peace." It became the hallmark of his mission. His love was not only for men and women, but also for all creatures, birds, lambs, fish, and even the smallest insects. All creation for him was a mirror of God's beauty. The Journey to the East, 1219 to 1220. In his burning desire to bring peace beyond borders, Francis set out for the East during the Fifth Crusade. While others came with swords, he came with an open heart. Crossing the battle lines at Damietta in Egypt, he asked to speak with the Sultan, al-Malik al-Kamil. Many thought he would be killed. Yet Francis walked forward calmly, singing a hymn. The Sultan, moved by his courage and purity, welcomed him. For several days, the two men spoke of faith, compassion, and the Creator of all. Though Francis did not convert the Sultan, their meeting became a beacon of dialogue between religions, a moment of grace amid war. When Francis returned to Italy, he carried not trophies, but peace in his heart. Wounds of Love, the Stigmata, 1224. As Francis grew older, his body became frail, but his spirit burned brighter than ever. Longing to be alone with God, he withdrew to Mount La Verna with a few brothers to fast and pray. One dawn, while the forest was veiled in mist and silence, he knelt in prayer, asking to feel the depth of Christ's love and suffering. Suddenly, a vision of a seraph with the image of the crucified Christ appeared in radiant light. From that heavenly fire, rays struck his hands, feet, and side, leaving the marks of the stigmata. Pain became joy, suffering became union. Francis, the humble beggar of Assisi, now bore on his body the wounds of his Lord. He told no one for a long time, hiding them under his sleeves. His brothers only noticed when he could no longer walk without help. The miracle spread through Italy, and people came in silence to see this living image of the crucified. The Canticle of the Sun and Final Journey, 1225 to 1226. Nearly blind and weakened by years of fasting and illness, Francis spent his final months at San Damiano near Clare and her sisters. Yet even as his body failed, his heart overflowed with praise. One morning, lying on his straw bed, he began to sing, "Praised be you, my Lord, through brother sun and sister moon." That hymn, the Canticle of the Sun, was his final song to the Creator, a poem of joy rising from pain. He praised God for wind, water, fire, earth, and even Sister Death, whom he greeted as a friend. His joy was so pure that it turned suffering into music. When the end came, Francis asked to be laid on the bare ground. He whispered psalms and blessed his brothers. As the sun set over Assisi on October 3rd, 1226, he smiled and said, "Welcome, Sister Death." Thus, the troubadour of God returned home to eternal peace. Legacy of Light, the Saint for all creation. 2 years later, in 1228, Pope Gregory IX canonized Francis as a saint. The great Basilica of Saint Francis was built in Assisi, standing as both his tomb and his testimony. But his true legacy lives not in stone. It lives in hearts that seek peace, humility, and joy. He became known as the patron saint of animals and the environment, a friend of all creation, a lover of simplicity, and a bridge between faiths. 8 centuries later, his words still echo, "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace." From the valleys of Assisi to every corner of the world, St. Francis remains a gentle light, reminding humanity that love, not power, is the language of heaven. Saint Francis of Assisi's life remains a beacon of faith, humility, and love. From a wealthy youth to a humble servant of God, he showed the world that true riches are found in generosity, simplicity, and compassion. May his example inspire us to care for creation, serve the poor, and live with joy and devotion. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe for more saintly stories, and share it with others. So together, we can spread the message of goodness and light